Okay, go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the February 10th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4. I will call the meeting to order and we'll begin roll call. My name is Steve Cooley. I'm a commissioner.
Tim Johnson, Commissioner.
Mark Land, Commissioner.
Jason Vanderveen, Fire Chief.
All right, and that's all we have right now. So we will now move on. Anybody out there waiting for comment, Chief?
Sir.
Okay, then we will open and then close the public comment period and move to the next agenda item on the agenda, which is approval of the consent agenda. All matters within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Board of Commissioners for review, are considered routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the board with no separate discussion. If a separate discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. Our consent agenda this week or this month includes our meeting minutes from our regular meeting on January 13th, staff reports from the chief as usual, financial reports from the chief and his team, voucher, payroll, and benefits paperwork, which include a direct deposit payroll of $644, monthly expenditure voucher, which totals $874,083.89. And hang on a second. Okay, for a grand total of total expenditures, $874,727.89. And total revenues for January, $4,269.08. So obviously a large expenditure this month because a big payment went out to our friends to the north. So, okay. I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Land moves to approve. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
I will second that motion.
We have a second. Any discussion desired before we vote? No discussion. So all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, moving to unfinished business. If I could, I'd like to skip the first topic because that's, I think, what we're going to spend most of our time discussing today. The other three items under unfinished business, we're just going to briefly mention and kick the can down the road because it's been busy. So, Chief, do we just want to lump them all together? Tender purchase, fire engine purchase, and the station project, or?
At least the two have the apparatus. Yeah. I'm going to ask humbly that we push those back to March. I haven't had a lot of time to work on them, to be honest with you. And Commissioner Cooley and I need to get together and create the chart that I talked about that was projecting expenditures, projecting revenue. I have not had a lot of time to work on that. We've had some out of office days due to the weather, and I was out of the office for some other reasons as well. So if we could just push those to March, I would appreciate it.
I have no issue with that. Anybody have comments or issues with that? Hello, Bruce. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
You're
My
welcome.
camera's working, Jason.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. We're just moving through our unfinished business here to get to the main topic, which is the annexation thing. So any problems with moving the tender purchase and fire engine purchase updates till the next agenda or to next month?
No objections.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We'll do that. And then the Britton Loop Station project, Chief, did you have any update on that?
Yeah, he should have the bid to me by the end of this week is what he just sent me an email late last week saying he should have it by mid this week. So I will forward that to you when I get it.
Excellent. Okay. Any other items we need to talk about under that project? Nope. Okay. So those three topics are taken care of. Let's move back to the Britton Road Northern Heights annexation issue. Quite an extensive documents in our packet this week on that, and that was not all of it. It's apparently a very large document, but the chief and his staff included enough for us to get an idea of what's going on. So I guess I'll just open it up for discussion to start with. I know we have a few issues and concerns. Anybody want to start that topic off?
Well, I'm just trying to scroll down to it to I mean, I'm assuming that's the springboard of the conversation, which,
Yeah,
Yes, this is
Yeah.
from the Boundary Review Board. And it's stating that Bellingham has made application for annexation.
is this kind of starting with the memo to interested parties dated
Correct.
January 22nd? Okay.
Yep. And then we included all relevant documents that mention the fire district in it. It's about a 50-page document, so that's why we didn't just want to flood you with, public works stuff so much. We just pulled out relevant pieces that discuss the fire district. Again, this is not Bellingham City Council approving the annexation. This is the application has been made, so now it goes to the Boundary Review Board because it involves other entities besides the city of Bellingham. So this is what you see in there is the report from you'll see pieces of the report from the division or department heads. So for us, it's the fire department, and then you can see the police department in there as well. What the impact would be to the city and how they're going to mitigate that impact, or what the plan would be. And then Chief Hewitt also called out the 60% chunk in there, and that still is out for question, as well as the fact that District 4 could ask the city to contract for services. Hence, that's why Commissioner Ansel, he saw that and called me, which I knew he probably would. And so that's why he wanted to be here, just to hear for District 21. And then if you had questions for District 21 about the contract ongoing. Commissioner Cooley and I spoke briefly before the meeting, and I think he's got some good ideas about what next steps for the district. And I'll let him take that.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for the summary. I pulled out at least two main issues from what we were provided here. The first one, as the Chief mentioned, is that 60% threshold, and even I think it's Chief Hewitt's words in the packet, kind of basically reiterates that's pretty vague on how we reach that 60%. But what I wanted to talk with you all about was, I think it's now time that we start aggressively, or at least pursuing the answer to how do we figure out that 60%? Because if this annexation does go forward, I think we need to be ready to, again, if by our calculations, whatever those are, the city is now taking up more than 60%, then we need to take those next steps and look at them taking over the whole district. So I would like to put in motion the wheels to start being able to answer that question. And I think that means at least starting to consult with our attorney about that, figuring out who has the expertise that can take a look at that issue and give us their 2 cents on where we are as far as that 60% goes. So that's the one issue that I would like to at least discuss today. And then the other issue, of course, that the Chief mentioned is the comment in the packet about whether or not we would want to contract directly with the city of Bellingham. And so let's go with the first issue. Actually, we'll go with the second issue first, if that's okay, since Bruce is here. Bruce, do you want to chime in at this point and offer thoughts, or you want to just?
Well, financing is going to be an issue regardless. It's my understanding if the city were to assume the Britton Loop station, it triggers more resources other than just that fire station for them, i.e. a second battalion, perhaps. I don't know if it means another ladder truck. Chief, you can maybe clarify that, but it's more than just, hey, we're gonna take your 12 guys and keep this fire station running as is. I think it moves them to a whole nother level. And I think historically, talking with Chief Hewitt, it would be his desire, if he did that, to be able to expand his department, because he hasn't done that for what, 40 years, Chief? It's like they're like all of us. You keep more calls, more people, more area, and no more resources. And I don't think he wants to bite off that without having the background support. my other concern financially is it would take a piece of our budget that we depend on from you. The personnel and the station and the equipment are a wash, but it's the 25% of our admin services, et cetera, that we would lose, and we certainly won't and can't afford to lay anybody off. We're already at as minimal as we can be. And so from a selfish reason, I would prefer to stay or to have you stay with us. The taxing piece is one that you'll have to grapple with. I know that if they take that assessed value, you basically pass your budget on to the remaining property owners, which if I were a property owner in D4, I'd be kind of pissed about that. And I don't know if we have an exact number of what value that area that they want to annex is, but I think they offered up what 200 and some thousand a year for 3 years. What, I don't know what that figure is.
Yeah. And they did have a value in there of what they were taking as well. I think they
About 200, a little over 209 or $208,000 is what that would take out of the district, which is how they arrived at the 208.
So, I mean, not that I don't trust people, but is that those properties times their levy rate equals that number, or is there some funny math going on in there?
Yeah, we'll certainly have to sift through those numbers and arrive at them ourselves if we can.
I mean, I know that the county can certainly provide that, but I think that's a question I would have, because I'm not telling you how to run your business, but if they're going to do that, then I would not pass more on to the existing property owners. You see what I mean? I mean, if you're at a, what are you at now? $1.10? What?
$3.
So if you're at $1.03 and you have the ability to go to $1, you go 3 or 4 is your max.
4.
So you could go to $1.07. If you remove those properties and you kept your same budget, I don't know what that number is going to be for your remaining properties. It could be $1.10. I don't know, but I guess I would, from a political and goodwill position, try not to pass that on without first considering the $208,000 that they're giving you. So that's going to require some higher math that I'm not going to be able to do in my head right here, right now.
Yeah.
That way, I think you've fulfilled your commitment to these people who were brave enough to pass your levy lid lift, and not sort of get stuck, although that in no way was your fault. The city decided to expand into their UGA and take those properties. So that would be my concern. We have a great relationship with you guys. I'm sure our board would like to continue that. I think the chief would prefer that at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong. Until we can at least get on our feet and pass a levy lift in D21. If this is sort of a 3-year deal, that we're going to know in 3 years that we're either going to be above water or we're going to be bankrupt. So that's sort of would be our line in the sand if you guys wanted to hang on for a couple more years.
Thank you. Yeah, that's that.
Chief,
well,
I mean, you've reviewed this more than I have. Is what I said make sense, or?
Yeah, I think that there's, in my mind, there's more sense in us staying together. We've had, since 2011, we've we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but we have stuck together. And just quite honestly, we're like for like. We're both fire districts. If you were to contract with the city, if the city were to permit it, it's going to be. Chief Hewitt certainly has the ability and certainly has the experience in having District 8. I just, it's going to be a city and a district together. And I know that sometimes that can be problematic as far as maybe, a city finance, understanding how a district finances work and things like that. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Chief Hewitt. I know that he knows how to do that. It's the departments under him, I guess, that and not affiliated with the fire department where it becomes a little more difficult. Whereas we are like for like. We're both districts. When we do a finance policy in District 21, it pretty well transfers over to Fire District 4. So we're able to run a little leaner on those kind of things. The other piece operationally that I would have concerns about is that um, there's a significant amount of tenders, brush trucks, things like that North Wacom, we District 4 and District 21 bring to the table as a whole. That they would obviously still be there if District 4 were to contract with the city. It just gets a little. The city's going to have to take over a lot of property that they're not prepared to defend. I guess would be or respond to, which would be my thing. And I think Chief Hewitt would say the same thing. They don't have tenders. They don't have brush trucks. They don't have the rural areas up on, Squalica Mountain. Whereas those are things that we do have and have dealt with. And we've got Semiahmoo, just like you've got Squalica Mountain. We've got this urban interface area. So we're a little bit more like for like as opposed to the city. That's just my purview. I do think that Commissioner Cooley's plan to have him and I go meet with Eric Quinn and start to discuss this 60% thing and get that hammered out once and for all. This is probably the time to do it. And then I apologize. Chief Hewitt had a scheduling conflict, wasn't able to be here today. So I'll have him come at the March meeting, or if we need to have a special meeting before then, I'll figure out a way to drag him in just so you can get the city's purview. But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Thank you.
Can
Yeah,
I
go
add-
ahead, Bruce.
Well, the chief brought up a really good point. I mean, I worked for a city department that contracted to other cities and fire districts. And dealing with a friendly board, which I believe we're both 21 and 4 fit that mold now.
I hope so.
And I have all the confidence in the world in our chief and Chief Hewitt, but now you've got a city council and a city manager or mayor and a finance department and you'd be surprised at the priorities that they have that don't say fire department in them. And that's all you and I have. So we don't do parks, we don't do police, we don't do water department, we don't do utilities, we do fire and EMS. So I would prefer that relationship, but you guys certainly are autonomous and can decide whatever you want to do.
Well, for all the reasons that you said, that everyone has said so far, yeah, I don't see moving to contracting with the city as an immediate thing that we would want to pursue. But as you all can well imagine, we should run the numbers for ourselves so that we are responsible to our constituents and can at least show them why, money's not the only issue. But yeah, I think we're very happy with the relationship we have with District 21. And unless it was an extreme advantage to the taxpayers in District 4, I don't see that happening. But we need to run the numbers and, again, do our due diligence. So that's and again, that would be my intention here in the coming couple of weeks, meeting with the attorney, is to come up with some information that we have created on the 60% and what it would look like if we even wanted to contract with the city of Bellingham. So, Those are my thoughts. Gentlemen, anything else?
I appreciate your comments, Bruce, and they kind of hit home for me. I think we had a good relationship between the two dicks, and I'm confident we could figure out how to continue with that. I want to do what's right by the taxpayers in our district, right? And I think it's important for us to look at all the options. Um, and I think you're right, Steve. It's time to really take a hard look at that and get some legal review as well. Bruce, do you have a sense of when you might take another run at a levy lid lift?
Well, we, we were hoping to give ourselves and the chief a break this year. There's several moving parts right now. We've got Blaine School District that failed a bond. We've got Meridian that failed. We've got Linden that failed. And we've got the Whatcom County Library that's in the process of putting a levy lid lift together. The library is also a junior taxing district. They fall under all the same rules as we do. They're stuck with this 1% thing. They've lost that earning power. And I'm actually on their advisory board for that. Probably they wanted to know what we did wrong so they don't do it. So, you know, do you want to compete with all of that? Jason and I were down in Olympia last Wednesday, Thursday, and had an opportunity to meet with the state council representatives and labor from the IAFF. And Ricky Walsh is the 7th district representative, so he does Washington State and Alaska, Montana, Idaho, whatever. But anyway, he had been unaware of our attempt to do a levy lid lift and was shocked that labor hadn't contacted him and asked for assistance. And he basically said, you get me the information and we can run this thing in November. So I would love to be able to do that. I don't know if we have the bandwidth right now. I personally have made a commitment to the chief that this isn't all going to fall in his lap again. And if we're going to be successful as you had some community members that stepped up and put a lot of time and advertising and effort into this, and just because the way people communicate nowadays, we need a different strategy, and we need to get into everybody's website and find out how they get information and just blast that out. We don't have the ability, nor I think can we legally, go out and ask people to vote yes, but labor certainly can. And last couple of times we were hoping that labor would step up and do that, and they didn't. So I don't think we'll contract again with Liz Loomis. I'm hoping that if we can get that groundswell and get labor to come in and say, we got this, we can do this for you. And I'm not just talking local 106, I'm talking the IAFF. So I would entertain it for this year, but I'm not going to burden the fire chief and our administrative staff with that big of a project again. Is that kind of an answer? We need it. We have to do it. It's just when, and we have our new commissioner, Chief Anthony, is of the mindset that we might have to make it hurt before people will understand, and that means browning down a station or something like that. And We certainly aren't going to do that at 12s. We've made that commitment to you, and we're not going to reduce any coverage there. But that leaves us with 3 other stations, and they're all critical. So, and if you close one down, then the other stations have to cover it. So we'll have to sit down with a strategy to say, how do you make it hurt without, totally destroying what we can do. But the people just don't seem to understand that we have more calls, we have more responsibilities, and we have less resources. So
I'm glad to hear that you've got a new commissioner that is bringing that up, because that's the same thing I brought up during our joint budget meeting. And, I felt like I was getting crucified at suggesting, you guys look at cutting services. So maybe there's been some new conversations since that budget meeting.
well, and there's safety issues too, right? We want to protect our people, and so one way to do it is like, well, we'll just put 2 people at each station, and if we do that, we're not going to run an engine, right? I mean, it's just not safe. And I don't want to. I know the chief doesn't want to put our people in that position, and but it might. I mean, if you're playing the odds, right? 75-80% of what we do can be done out of an 8 car. And if you get that fire, well, it might have to burn a little longer before we get the resources there. But there's areas of our district where that happens anyway. And that might be an option, is just to tell people, we're sorry, we don't have a fire truck in your community this week because we don't have the resources to staff.
That would affect that insurance rating, right? That organization puts out for.
Well, I mean, I think we're already about as bad as we can get right now. So,
Yeah.
I would be less concerned about the insurance rating as I were my house is going to burn down. So,
so just getting back to the item that we're talking about. I mean, for as long as I've been in this part of this board, Bruce, I've been, a huge supporter of working together and staying together, and, the mergers and all those things, and whatever we could do to help pay for, well, in this case, it's looking like some equipment or a vehicle, to help kind of shift that financial burden. So I've always been about that. I think we're definitely at some crossroads, and my obligation or my sense of responsibility is to, the employees, the fire department personnel, and our customers, and being fiscally responsible. So I think we need to get the facts, which is what Steve and the chief are talking about. I think we need to have facts, financial facts, so that we can see what that impact is, and then just kind of let that lead us, lead those conversations. I can remember, when was it, Jason? Was it 2-3 years ago? We sat down with Bill, and I think we were at their office, his office, and
the mayor, I think, right?
There was that whiteboard about, District 8 and the city, and, we were kicking that stuff around then. Well, it really looks like it's, the rubber's meeting the road here. So this isn't new, but I think it's a little bit more serious, like something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I just wanted my decisions to be driven by, what's best for the people that are paying for all this, the personnel, and then my obligation to be fiscally responsible and to govern. So yeah, that's my 2 bits.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I guess to sum some of my thoughts up is I do feel that over and above what the actual costs are, we do have, in my opinion, a bit of a moral obligation to continue with this partnership as long as it's good for both of us, because of the effect it would have if we left that partnership on District 21. So yeah, that definitely weighs on my thinking as well. So yeah. Anything else on this topic? Okay, so yeah, the plan for you gentlemen moving forward is, yeah, I'll get together with the chief. We'll probably set up a meeting with Mr. Quinn and start talking about how to put some information together so we can make sense out of what our options are. So that's going to be my main task moving forward from this meeting.
Chief,
I-
getting the numbers is that something that we can get from the county and not have to burden Jessica
Yes.
with having to do that?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to ask Bill, Chief Hewitt, for the breakdown of how Bellingham did it, and we'll just check their numbers.
Yeah, I just, we're running at 110% right now, and I don't want to have you walk into Jessica and say, oh, by the way, can you check all the assessed values of all the properties that are going to be annexed in this thing?
No, we'll ask the city for their documents, and
Perfect.
then go from there.
Yeah, and again, I would not be adverse to hiring someone on a short-term basis to produce some sort of a report. Just, pay them to do the data gathering, and someone who has some expertise in this kind of thing, rather than burdening our own staff. And so that's something I'll be exploring with the chief and the attorney as well, is do we have someone out there that can prepare not a big study or anything like that. I'm just saying, yeah, go and gather the numbers from
Someone
the
that
city,
can
the
crunch
county.
numbers.
Yeah, and then show us what our options are and how much they all cost and what the impacts are. So yeah.
Got it.
So yes, thank you for that, Bruce. We will definitely try not to burden the staff any more than we absolutely have to. So
They certainly would appreciate that.
yes, I'm sure.
So just in terms of the process going forward here, it looks like from this memo that was issued by the board, they accepted it for filing on January 22nd, and there's now a 45-day lapse period. So it looks like March 7th is,
Yes.
I guess, the soonest that any action could be taken. Or then it goes back to the city, I assume.
Correct. That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay. And we don't know when the city will be acting upon this at this point.
I will try to ascertain that from Chief Hewitt when that's going to go on the city council agenda.
So, maybe you're already thinking about this, Tim. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but should we be prepared? Do we need to consider like being ready to have a special meeting, before our next meeting? Or are we thinking that whatever happens after this next, timeline trigger on their memo, we have plenty of time to discuss or make decisions at our next monthly meeting?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. That's kind of where I was going with. So how much time do we have to crunch numbers and evaluate options with the attorneys? Maybe it's months, or is it more like weeks? I guess that's what I'm trying to get a sense of.
I will ask that Mr. Quinn I'll send, once we're done here, I'll talk with Commissioner Cooley and figure out what dates he's got available to meet with Mr. Quinn. And then I'll send him an email and ask, hey, what do you interpret as the time frame? Just looking at the calendar, our meeting's early enough. We could do a meeting the week of the 24th of February. If we needed to take some official action before the 7th. So that would give us some time.
There may be an opportunity to send a communication from the commissioners to whoever saying, all right, we got your packet. Thank you very much. But now we need time, and put them on notice that we require some time to study this. So yeah, we need to get a better sense for what our timeline is on responding to this, if any, and then work within that for sure. But again, I'd be willing to send something if it's like some processes like this where, you know, they give you that, you know, you got a month to respond, and if I don't hear anything, we'll move on, and we respond. You know, that might be the best thing to do, is tell them, yeah, we're responding, we need time. So we'll see.
Well, and then, I mean, just realistically getting the work done. I mean, I hear what Bruce says about, you know, not burdening the staff, but honestly, it seems like this is fairly important work that affects everybody. So I don't know how realistic it is to go find somebody who is willing to do this. I mean, I think we need to expect that the staff is gonna help with this.
If we have to shuffle things around to make this will become a priority. We've got the District 21 meeting next Thursday. So we've got some things we can shuffle.
I mean, we really don't usually ask for much. You just do the work and we pay 25%, but I guess we're kind of asking, you know, for some special consideration here, you know, hey, help us out, you know, because help you.
If don't worry, I'll handle that, and we'll get it done.
Right.
You know, that's what we're here for. So we'll take care of it.
Chief, I mean, not to like I say, burden our staff. I know that Chief Anthony, our new commissioner, loves numbers. And it might be something that he would jump all over. So I think he probably has the intelligence and bandwidth to take that on with a little inside help, knowing how the county works and stuff, so that, you know, Jessica could tell him, hey, I need this, and this, and I'm sure he would just, like a puppy chasing a little ball, go after it and come back with it. So, and he's offered. So don't forget that he's an available resource as well.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we might call on him. That might be part of our solution here. So yeah, great. All right. Anything else on this topic? No? All right, looking across everybody, I don't see. Okay, great. Well, we will, more to come, and we will stay in communication with all of you about how that progresses. So, okay, that's it for unfinished business. Any new business? No new business. Okay. Hearing none, and we got a couple pieces of correspondence. We've already talked about the one, which is the packet from the Whatcom County Boundary Review Board. I don't think it's the Boundary Bay Review Board. That's a restaurant, but that's
well,
okay.
they're closing, so
are they? Okay. So that's all right. Little typo there. No problem. I'm not sure about this New York versus Trump thing and what we need to even care about that at this point.
I just put it in there. There's been a lot of fire service publications going around about federal funding and grant funding and things like GEMT and even Medicare and transport funding. And so I just put that in there, or asked Jenny to put that in there so that you would know that the I chiefs are watching and keeping on top of things, and will disseminate information down. You know, initially my concern was if there was going to be some interruption in transport revenue that could drastically affect both districts. And so I put it in there. It's apolitical, or my goal was for it to be apolitical. Just, hey, this is a reliable place we're going to get updates from.
For sure. Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, that's it for correspondence. Our next meeting is on March 17th. If we don't have to have one sooner, but we will find that out.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
Right. Due to county deadlines, it's really important if we could get stuff signed today, if we could, if there's a way. I could pick it up this evening or later this afternoon, that would be great. But it's got to be signed by, I'd say noon tomorrow at the latest, but today would be much better.
All right.
We'll sign today and text you.
Too.
So yeah, if you could text me once you got it signed, that'd be great.
Yep.
I am able to head right down and sign it as soon as we're done. So great.
And thank you, gentlemen, for
Yeah,
letting me
Bruce.
sit in on your meeting.
Yes.
Appreciate the open lines of communication, and as we get information, we'll certainly send it your way, and hopefully the same goes for you. I'd be real curious to see what your attorney has to say about the 60%, because everything I've heard so far is the language is written pretty crappy and favors Bellingham. So
We might want to change that language then. you know.
well, that's why attorneys get paid as much as they do,
That's
right?
Thank you for coming, Bruce. That was very
Yeah,
helpful.
thanks
Yeah.
for joining us.
Absolutely, anytime.
Okay, everybody. I will officially call this meeting adjourned. Have a great afternoon.
And
Thank you,
Thank you.
too.